private insurance sector to
in the pension system.
Private pension funds, upgrade life insurance policies, especially for those who are now working and will go to the pension for 30 or 40 years from now?
No, I think this is an important element, and then if you will look at the facts, they're not that impressive. For example, the amount of assets that pension funds in Serbia have is about 8 billion dinars, about 80 million euros. And that is a very small amount. That Serbia has this first pillar, which is compulsory pension system, and a very small third pillar, that is this private pension funds. It would be good to develop this sector, and unfortunately, realistically, you cannot say it will take off very quickly, because what you need is a comprehensive system of improvements. You cannot improve this particular segments without developing capital markets in Serbia. And to develop capital markets in Serbia, you need a lot of things to be yet done. There are some laws in the pipeline on securities. There is a company law. What you need is a major improvement in accounting standards. Also, what you need is a major development of the private sector. Increase the private sector share in the economy. Then, of course, they will be investing and saving, and that will create more deep capital market, which could be used by private pension funds to invest and to diversify their assets. So this is something that I think is a good initiative, a viable attitude should be developed, but realistically over the next 10 years, probably it's not going to be a major contributor in the macroeconomic terms.
You spoke about favoritism aimed to some investor and so on. We have this informal but very strong, decisive link between some investors and public officials in Serbia, linked to this phenomena of blocked foreign investments here and troubles with existing investors here to do this. Serbia is aiming to membership, to EU membership, and aim to go to the regular, normal market economy. How do you see importance of this level field for everything? Is there any economy, not just pension system, without making normal market economy in Serbia, without any favorite investors and not favorite investors on the market?
Well, I think, realistically speaking, of course, it's very important to get as level playing field as possible. You can never be perfect, and we know that no country is perfect in this respect. But what is needed is an assessment of what can be done and movement and more progress toward this goal. And I think in Serbia there is scope for a lot of progress in having a more even-handed implementation of the rules, in having more clear rules, so more transparent implementation. And that, I think, has been the key driver of growth around the world, is a key driver of economic prosperity. Well, when you see which countries have actually progressed a lot, you see that a lot of this progress is linked to either a level playing field in terms of competition. For example, an example of this would be the economy of the United States and some other advanced countries, or that de facto competition of export-oriented type, like China or some other economies. What is important to understand that economies that are very successful in exports are very successful in competing, because basically exports by definition are competitive. You are competing against everyone in the world market. And in order to get this done, there are many different ways in which this can be done. The Chinese way is obviously a different way. But the fact remains that they have made their progress by allowing a significant degree of competition within their economy by allowing them to compete in the export sector, making this possible.
And for the end, we have these serious troubles. We spoke about stadiums. We don't have facilities that are modern that can allow secure matches. We don't have modern stadiums with all this CCTV surveillance and so on. We have these serious troubles in Serbia. How do you think that could impact on investors' view about Serbia? How do you see, is this a short-term trouble, or could be a serious trouble if this challenge is not met? We have this series of troubles with the worldwide attention. Do you see that this could jeopardize Serbia's investment potential because of security?
Okay, well, I think security is a big issue, and I think that's important to resolve. We are not experts in this area. You better talk to some other people that are experts in this area. But what I want to emphasize is the importance of infrastructure for foreign direct investment. I think while we do not want the public sector to be present too much in some specific sectors, we want the public sector to be present in the sectors where it is needed. And it is needed for example, in this tasks of upgrading infrastructure, which is quite deteriorated in Serbia and has not been fully rebuilt and upgraded. So this is the area where the state can provide a major input to the economic growth and also to the export orientation of the economy, because actually when you have better infrastructure, you have the supply side that you can move goods to external markets, and that will actually contribute to enhancing the export potential of Serbia as a whole.
For the end, to finish in some lighter atmosphere, how do you see future of Serbia in terms of several years from now? Do you see outcome of these economic trends as a positive? Where do you see some key elements of Serbia's economic and social future? How do you see this pension reform could improve all of that if met properly?
I see Serbia's potential, and I see that Serbia has very good potential, and provided it makes steps, determined steps to implement the needed reforms, it will do very well and could generate economic growth that would help the country to become much better and much more prosperous. So Serbia, in my view, has a good potential, but what is clearly the need is to implement the reforms and realize that potential. One issue here are structural economic reforms for growth, and we talked about competition. The other side of this, I would think, is fiscal consolidation, because fiscal consolidation will allow to maintain, on the one hand, macroeconomic stability. On the other hand, it will free room for productive public spending, which in this case would be investment spending, and that will allow much more infrastructure spending. And that is the need of the pension reform. So if we are successful with implementing the pension reform, it will allow to reduce the share of pension spending in GDP. Right now, the share of pensions in GDP is more than 13%, probably close to 14% if you include military pensions. We think, and we look at countries that are in Europe, and a lot of competitors for Serbia, the new member countries like Hungary, Poland, the Baltic countries have smaller ratios to GDP in terms of pension spending. For example, Romania has a pension spending to GDP of about 8% and has just already implemented and enacted a pension reform. So countries are not resting on their laurels.
Just to highlight, this percent in Serbia is, in Romania is 8%.
And And in Serbia, I think it's 13%. So
13.
that's 13%. So you see that the countries are very proactive. They want to avoid future complications. They want to enact reforms early. And this particular pension reform gives Serbia a chance to make it. It may not be maybe as ambitious as we would have liked, but it's certainly a step in the right direction, a good step shared by many, and we hope that it will also contribute to the economic prosperity of Serbia.
Thank you.
Thank you.